To SportsSkope with your host, Robert Butler, on Northeast Streaming Sports.
Okay, everybody, you stand by, my friends here. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to SportsSkope. I'm your host, Robert Butler. Sorry about being a little bit late tonight. I wanted to get everything I could on this Tiger Woods car accident story. It's the biggest story in the news tonight. Going to talk about this Brad Stevens Boston Celtics debacle and my suggestion of what they should do. Deion Sanders, the humility story of Deion Sanders is a lesson for all of us. And we'll talk about trade deadline. NBA trade deadline is coming up next month, but a lot of talk about Karl Towns and, of course, Bradley Beal. But first, everybody, let me tell you about Alternite. Alternite's a nonprofit organization, 100% nonprofit, funded by Tolic Boards out of Brooklyn, New York. Received support or partner with New York hockey team, former Ranger legends Mark Messier, Adam Grace, Ron DeGay, WFAN's Boomer Esiason, the most legendary local sports talk show station in the country. These guys provide humanitarian and educational services for underserved communities. They also provide equipment for youth and whatnot. For more information, how to ask for help or to donate, obviously, you can go to their website at www.alternite.com or visit the Facebook page, or you can call 917-775-4005. Tell them Robert from SportsSkope sent you. Alternite, good people doing a good thing. Okay, everybody. Now, let me double check and make sure real quick. I'm here on my. Okay, we're doing good. All right. It was weird about going to this Tiger Woods thing. This wreck happened around 7:15, between 7 and 7:15 Pacific time, but it did not get out until around 11:30 Pacific time. So it's 4 hours there that nobody reported on this. So I got all the information I could, all the updated information I could, either way from the AP, TMZ, love them or not. TMZ tells you like it is, straight up. There's a report from TMZ about this too, about where Tiger Woods was staying at. And this hotel, now a lot of you may already know this, but he had this, there was a tournament he was in town for in LA, and it was some kind of documentary that he was working on. He got some Golf Digest. This thing with Golf Digest. It was a celebrity golf tournament as well. Supposed to give Drew Brees some lessons. Had some pictures taken with David Spade, Dwayne Wade. So a lot of you probably already know that. But what's interesting to me is, for one, that the hotel he was staying at, there was a TV show shot there. And according to TMZ, that he took off just before the crash out of this parking lot of this hotel at a really high speed rate. And it was a major TV network where show was being shot. Production services tell TMZ the director arrived just before 7. Tiger was driving his SUV very fast, leaving the property, almost hit the director's car. The director was shaken up enough to tell the production staff about it after he parked. A crew member saw Tiger Woods as he got in an SUV at the hotel, tells TMZ. Once Tiger Woods got into his vehicle, there was a delay in driving off. So there's something up with that. And then you look at the AP. This is all updated too. He swerved over without even hitting the brakes and went off this embankment. People that live in that area know that area really well. What was it? Colin Coward said that the area doesn't have any guardrails or anything. He kind of flipped off there. But the thing is, he swerved through traffic, no skid marks. Now the police that found him there, the deputy says that, he seemed to be pretty coherent, no alcohol, nothing like that. Now, we know what happened in 2017. Tiger Woods got this DUI. Tiger Woods also, which was from painkillers, he's had this knee injury back in just before surgery, just before Christmas. It was a back injury, just before Christmas. So that's going to come into play. It is what it is. If it wasn't for what happened before, I think it's fair he's probably going to get a blood test for this stuff, for this back injury. Was he on prescription medication, drugs? It is what it is, okay? I'm glad the guy's okay. Now, Dr. David Chow commented, reading about his leg injuries that he's had emergency surgery on from this, is saying that he wouldn't have been transferred from Harvard to UCLA hospital unless he was stable condition. He said that's good. The bad news is, from what he has read, this Dr. David Chow's on the Outkick, works with Clay Travis on Outkick. He's a former NFL doctor, says that from what he's reading about these leg injuries, there's a good chance that Woods is not going to play this whole year in golf again. I don't know how bad those leg injuries are, I will say this, when I first heard it, selfishly, I thought about the Masters, and I thought that was really poor judgment on my part. Realize this guy's a human being. He's got kids. I'm going to make sure he's okay, make sure he walks again. But all this stuff is going to come into fruition. The questions, was he on prescription medication? With all these injuries, all that's going to come into question. I think it should be with Tiger Woods' history. I hope that's not the case. It sounds like maybe he may have gotten to an argument that morning and flew out of that hotel like that. He's got a temper. We know that. We know about the other incident in 2009 with the wife. Maybe he had some issues with the kids, a phone call that upset him, something of that nature. That's what it sounds like. And speaking of Tiger Woods, I've been telling you guys, there's a really good documentary. It came out just last month called Tiger on HBO. It talks about Tiger's upbringing, these incidents going back to 2017, how hard his dad pushed him as a kid. 2 years old, picking up a golf club, 4 years old, going on these different TV shows. Johnny Carlson improved. And it also, an interesting story I'd never heard before is Tiger in this documentary called Tiger. It's got 2 parts, HBO, really good. If you guys get a chance, check it out. When this guy's 18, he's 18, 19 years old. He's in college. And he doesn't tell his parents he's coming home as early as he does to see his girlfriend. Is somewhat long time. I think it's probably his first girlfriend. I don't know. But either way, they find out about it. They make him break up with her and write a letter. She reads a letter. She's like 45 now. She's reading the letter in the documentary. But it tells you the level of dedication this guy had. But it also says the level of shelterness that he had to go through growing up. And maybe that's why there's some of the stories are dark. A close friend of Earl Woods, Mr. Woods, that had met Tiger on the golf course, said that, that he used to, him and Earl used to chase women on the golf course. Tiger would go there all day with him and do some serious training, even as a young kid, early teenage years. And they would, Earl would talk out loud when Tiger was taking his shot. He would jiggle chains in his pocket, and that was on purpose. And he said, finally, I shushed Earl, and Earl said, no, this is to help Tiger train. So once he got to know this guy, they started, this guy's, still married to a Tiger's mom. A lot of crazy stuff. And, of course, it talks about the affairs and everything, but it also talks about, him getting it back together, coming back from the DUI last time, winning the Masters in 2019. You just hope this is not an issue where he's back on those painkillers and he's got a problem with that to deal with. But there's going to be there's a lot of questions about this accident because of that, is what I'm saying. And the latest I'm getting for it. A lot of the celebrities reaching out. It's a big story. And, the airbags saved this guy's life. Now, me personally, guys, it didn't kill him, but I'm sure it scared the life out of him. I had a phone pole when I was 16, and I got about 14 stitches in my lip. Luckily, I recovered. I got them out in about 10 days, but I didn't forget about that. I always buckle up, and I don't try to speed in these little narrow streets. That's what this sounds like, But some saying he may not ever play again. I would err on the side of optimism that Tiger Woods will play again because he's Tiger Woods. Even if he has a prosthetic leg, this guy's not normal. He's not like you and me. That's why he's one of the best ever. It's because he's the kind of guy that pushes through the odds. I'm optimistic that maybe he's out maybe this year and comes back maybe and wins a major next year with a prosthetic leg. He's got that kind of drive and determination. So, and plus, the guy's got kids. I think he's going to be okay. Like I said, Dr. David Chow said they would not have transported him to UCLA if he wasn't stable. If his condition, they wouldn't do that. But we just don't know how bad those leg injuries are. But it was a very shocking thing to hear. And I really hope the guy fully recovers. He's fun to watch. I know he's if you watch that documentary, it's not 100% like a Michael Jackson with his dad's situation as far as being mean and whooping him and all that stuff and abuse. But as far as the concentration in his life, it's very similar to that. That's why, you can see Tiger seems a little bit awkward. He said his dad was his best friend, growing up, rather than his dad. But I don't know. It's very interesting. Bone through the skin. That's what he was talking about. Dr. Chow was saying with the doctor was saying that the bone through the skin, that's probably going to put him out at least. He's not going to do anything this year, like that kind of surgery. He's not going to do anything as far as playing in any tournaments this year. Like you said, guys, he's lucky to be alive. Falling off embankment like that, median is crazy. You know what? I wanted to, before this Tiger stuff broke, we had a lot of snow here in Middle Tennessee last week. 72% of the United States was under snow last week, according to these national weather services. And I just want to give a kudos to all the truck drivers for getting food there to these all these. I didn't have any issues getting food to the grocery store from the grocery store. It's almost 70 degrees here in Nashville today. So kudos to all the truck drivers, man. Okay, switching gears here. Okay, the NBA. A lot of talk about Boston Celtics last 24 hours. They lose a historic lead on Sunday to a young New Orleans team to fall to 500. I know they were playing close tonight. And, Kroger, Walmart both did really well the other day. I mean, they had everything. I couldn't believe it. But Boston fell to a young New Orleans team. I know they were losing by a point to Dallas. Now, either way, they get that other win. I think what I'm about to say still stands to be seen with the Celtics. Trade deadline's coming up next month. I know that Marcus Smart's been hurt. Kemba Walker's not 100%. The team took a shot on Kyrie Irving. It didn't work out. It didn't gel with Brad Stevens' system. Now, Danny Ainge has got a decision to make, okay? They need a big. Last year, a few years ago, they get to the finals, the Eastern Conference Finals. Then it was LeBron becomes a problem. LeBron goes to the West, and then last year they run into Jimmy Butler in the Miami Heat. They put them out. This year they're a 500 team, and they're like fourth in the division. They're behind Brooklyn. They're behind Philadelphia. They're behind Milwaukee. And Milwaukee, you've got the trade deadline coming up. At some point, you got to say, okay, Danny Ainge has got to sit down with Coach Brad Stevens and saying, we've got to get a superstar for you to work with, okay? We need a big for you to work with. We have to get – we're just not that good. You know, this team has done all these trades. I forgot about Toronto, and I even talked about the West. We've done these trades with draft picks. We know you're really good with Butler. You've got this team to Eastern Conference Finals. At some point, we got to make that next move. And everything I see, Karl Anthony Towns with and I sent an email to myself about this. First of all, Flip Saunders' son, Cliff Saunders, not making that up, was recently fired from the Minnesota Timberwolves job, okay? He got fired the other day. This team's got like 7 wins. Awful record the last 2 years. Karl Anthony Towns is a guy that, really hitting a rough patch here with Minnesota. Poor guy's mother died of COVID complications last year. I think that Minnesota should do him a solid to trade him to a contender. And if I'm Danny Ainge, and if I'm a Celtic fan at this point, you've got to make that move. And that move would be going out. They need a big. They need a big like nobody's business. Okay. And I was reading this. This was last week from a website. This is not a huge website, not too well known, but it's interesting articles from the Inquisitor. And it says NBA trade rumors Karl Anthony Towns could come from super team with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. This guy is JB Barrero, Baruelo. He said Minnesota, Karl Anthony Towns, one of the names being mentioned in the trade markets continue to bury themselves. And he mentions that maybe that the Celtics should give up a now he didn't mention, he said they should trade Kimball, and he named a few other players. He did not mention Tatum. He did not mention Jaylen Brown. But I do think that, here's what he says. Kimball Walker, Marcus Smart, Semi Ojigli. I don't know who that is. I know who Daniel Theus is and Robert Williams, Palin Pritchard, a 2020 first-round pick, and a 2022 exchange pick. So this guy, now, of course, when you do these type of trades, all the salaries have to match up. I get it. I would definitely call Minnesota for that. Again, Marcus Smart, Kimball Walker, a few no names, and some draft picks to get Karl Anthony Towns. Yeah, Ojale, probably butchered his name. Now, I would put Brown on the table. I wouldn't trade Tatum. But at this point, Danny Ainge has got to say, I've got to make this happen. And Brad, if you can't coach this guy up, he has an issue. The sentiment on Brad Stevens is he can't coach superstars. At some point, you got to have a star. You're falling farther behind Boston than the other teams in the East. We haven't even talked about the West. You're falling farther. At some point, you got to make that move, okay? And that's what I'm going to tell him straight up, Brad. You're a great guy. I like you. But I'm going to bring in Karl Anthony Towns. If this don't work, we got to let you go, man. He's been there 7 years now since Doc Rivers left, 7, 8 years. All these, every year, is this the year Boston's going to make it? Boston's still young. Is this year? No, you got to quit using draft picks. At this point, you have to make that next step. You look at other teams around the league, not just Brooklyn, Philadelphia, Bradley Beal, by the way, has been mentioned in a lot of trade talks here from Washington. He's going to get traded somewhere. I know that, Carlos, you're a big fan of the Knicks. I know that they're going to go after a guy like Bradley Beal. He's also being mentioned to go to Boston. Boston needs a big. They need a talent like a Karl Anthony Towns level. And that is exactly what they need to do. And I'm Danny Ainge. I'm going to say, look, man, we've got to get you out of this comfort zone or this thing where you can't show superstars. You got to coach the talent, you know. And if he don't do it, you got to move off Stevens at this point. Stevens is a great coach. He was a great college coach at Butler. He will get job offer after job offer. But at this point, you've got to the 25th of March to make this happen. It's not even the 25th of February, but you're 500, okay? You shouldn't be this bad. You got to make this move if you want to go anywhere, okay? And I still and as good a coach as this guy is calling plays and everything, I think with the Karl Anthony Towns, say if they took this proposal that this guy from the Inquisitor proposed, you get Jaylen Brown, you got Karl Anthony Towns, and of course you got Jason Tatum there. You can plug in a point guard. You can plug in a guard anywhere. That would work. But you've got to make that this year. And if it doesn't happen, for one thing, people are going to start looking at Danny Ainge, you know. I mean, at some point, you got to get over the hump. I'm sure the fan base has got to be feeling pretty frustrated with this. And now, like I said, Bradley Beal's want to be one of those guys that gets mentioned. And there's 10 teams for Beal. This is for the win. USA Today is saying that Beal, the number one team would be a team like Denver, Philadelphia. He mentions Boston. USA mentions Boston with also for Beal. Now, Beal fit in anywhere. If you look at the Lakers, the way the Lakers have been playing, that I'm sure that they're going to look hard at Beal. Beal's 28 years old. I know, Carlos, I can't read when I'm streamlining. I don't know what you're sending me, but I'm pretty sure I know what you said the other day, and a lot of Knicks fans, Bradley Beal's only 28 years old. Good teams need a good combination of youth and veteran. So I wouldn't mind if they did go. If I'm Bradley Beal, the best fit for him would probably be with Miami. Put him with Tyler Hero's a little too young. League's kind of figuring him out. That was more of a bubble thing. I would trade Tyler Hero, a young guy on a rookie contract for veteran. Put him with put Beal with Bam and Jimmy Butler on that Miami team. I think they can make a run and even push this very talented Brooklyn Nets team. Now, of course, the Lakers are going to go hard at Beal. So, lot to be talked about. I know it's early, but from what I seen the other day, and I'm sure that is, I mean, this is the first time I've heard people go back to Boston. They come after Brad Stevens because the knock is he can't coach these super. Well, you're going to have to deal with that ego in the NBA. Find a way to deal with it. Ainge, don't be afraid to make that move. Towns would be the best way to go. You need a big. You haven't replaced the bigs that you got rid of in the past there. This guy can shoot. He can play defense. There is it's no excuse not to go after him. Not unless you're trying to play it safe. This should be past the play it safe stage, Boston Celtics. You playing it safe is building up your foundation. You've got your foundation. Now you got to take it to the next level. You know, you got to make that next move. All right. In other news, there was a pretty interesting story about humility with Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders got his first head coaching job at a place called Jackson. What is this called? Jackson State. Small college out of Jackson, Mississippi. A lot of people's not taking him serious with this going into coaching thing. But, I looked at Deion Sanders, and this guy, he's worth $40 million. And before he took this head coaching job, he was an offensive coordinator at a high school called Texas Christian School from 3 years, from 17 to 20. Now, it also says he's done some Prime Prep Academy. I think that's one of those showing you how to play cornerback type of deals, kind of like a quarterback academy, maybe a defensive back type of academy, showing you how to play the position. But this guy, worth $40 million. He's got an interesting story. Arguably one of the greatest cornerbacks of all time. Definitely the best of my lifetime, without a doubt. Deion is a guy who hit a low point in his life. Dominated baseball, not baseball, but dominated football, played for the Major League Baseball. Getting towards the end of his career in 2000, guy got really down, got suicidal, thought about committing suicide, found God around 2000 in Cincinnati. This is all well documented. This ain't me speculating. And since then, got a job at NFL Network, started straightening up his personal life a little bit. Actually went back and played, if you guys don't recall, he played for the Ravens for about a year or so in the early 2000s just to prove he could do it. And there was speculation about him taking a Florida State job with no experience. But it's about humility. A guy as big as he is realized that he still needed to get the proper training to become a coach because he's always been a player. And I got to commend him for taking this high school. Think about this. One of the biggest stars on the planet humbles himself. And that's saying a lot because this guy's got a huge ego, to be an offensive coordinator for a high school team for 3 years. And then he takes this small job at Jackson State. And, of course, the first game, it's an expedition game. And then someone stole all of his stuff out of his office. They got the stuff back from the lady. But he wanted to emphasize, my office was broken into. The school comes out. They said, well, we're going to, try security measures. Yeah, get a locker. Get a this guy. Hold on, everybody. I've got to change out my whatchamacallit here. Stop recording there. Start recording. Okay, I'm back. All right, now. So he gets stuff stolen from but they get it back. And the school gets it back. Some woman, he just said she. He didn't say what she did there or what. But the fact that he's taken these small jobs, he's showing the humility to get the proper training to do this. Is a guy that should be I commend that. It's a really good story for all of us to take a job beneath you sometimes simply to get the experience. Guys, I'm doing this for free for 4 years, and I looked it up and he's worth over $40 million. And I thought to myself, well, that's not really that much for Deion. I thought he was worth over 100, but maybe it's because he's got child support or whatever. But he's getting good recruits there. And I will say this, if he stays on this path, keeps this kind of patience, I could see Deion coming back to his alma mater, so Florida State, and being a head coach and being a good head coach. Or maybe going to Miami, the rival school, University of Florida. Both of those, any of those schools could be available in the next 3 to 4 years. But I'm proud of Deion for doing that. A lot of kids looking up to him. And it's pretty motivational for a guy of his stature to humble himself enough to do this. Speaking of camps, I did see that story. I didn't mention this before, but it popped in my head. Cam Newton, these kids hollering disrespectful remarks towards him the other day. And I will say this. If you Cam, and I know you're doing it at the good of your heart, Yeah, he's got a little bit of an ego, but don't all these players? He's not a mean-spirited guy. He didn't have to do that. And if I'm him, I would tell all these kids when they start these quarterback camps, if you're disrespectful towards me or any of my staff, you're gone. This is not the first time he had some. So maybe he probably, before they started filming, maybe he's jabbing back and forth with these kids. But this guy's calling him a free agent. And, then I found out later the kid is not really a kid. He's like a senior in high school. He's not like a 10-year-old. But I just thought that was interesting. But that's the way I'd handle it, though. I'd just say, listen, man, I tell everybody, you cannot come in here being disrespectful. I want to do this. I don't have to do this. We're asking nicely. If you do it again, if you say it, we're going to ask you to leave. This kid's hackling him and, it's on video and everything. But anyways, so those are my sports things. NFL. Another interesting NFL story here out of Nashville. There is let me look at this. I made some big notes here. Hold on. Let's see. Isaiah Wilson. Okay, now Tennessee Titans. This may be one of the big, Clay Travers was talking about this earlier today. Maybe one of the biggest busts of all time. This guy has played 4 snaps with Tennessee, not 4 games, 4 snaps. He was a 29th overall pick last year. I remember Tennessee went to the AFC Championship game. He was a right tackle at the University of Georgia. Late for practice. He's DUI arrest. I don't know about late for practice, but he's got has some issues with the team suspending him, violating team rules, according to John Robertson. I say this because John Robertson is a very aggressive general manager, and he's had a lot of misses here lately. You add this with the fact he signs John Robertson, our general manager. Vic Beasley, out of former first round pick back in 2015 from Atlanta. This guy was late for camp, no call, no show. Seemed to be out of shape. Long story short, team cuts him in November. $9.5 million down the drain. Jadeveon Clowney, another guy, completely skipped camp. He gets there. He only plays a few games. Doesn't do anything. He's, turned out to be pretty much. There were 11 sacks with Tennessee when he wasn't on the field in 8 games, and there was only 8 sacks when he was, according to some of these statistics. So Clowney is John Robertson, between the Isaiah Wilson, the Clowney move, the Vic Beasley move. You're slipping, man. That being said, he's aggressive. He's trying to win. He trades up in the draft. He did get Tannehill and made Miami pay for some of his contract. He signed Derrick Henry to a team-friendly contract, where Tennessee has an out in 2 years. I think they have an out this coming up year, $6 million. And then next year of dead cap if they had to cut Henry. And then next year, $3 million dead cap, and then there's no dead cap after that. So he's done some good things. But when you look at Chris Ballard, the general manager of the Colts, is flawless. You can't have room for this kind of era and stay afloat with this team. He's just bringing in Carson Wentz. Hasn't made the mistakes financially. I think that John Robinson's caught up in it, and I commend him because he's aggressive. He wants to win. I'm aggressive. I want to win. I just lectured you guys about Boston needs to get off of their safe zone and be aggressive and go after Karl Anthony Towns. Now, but this guy has got to put more effort into character. You got to have some kind of work ethic and character. Vic Beasley, no work ethic whatsoever. Clowney is clowning around. Clowney is a talent. He's always been somewhat of a mail-it-in guy. Now, how can he make it up? Go out and get Leonard Williams, who's a free agent out of the Giants. Background check, make sure he's got a work ethic. And then maybe get J.J. Watt, and you could stay afloat with perhaps an Indianapolis Colts team who both tied with Tennessee, both had 11-5. Tennessee had a better division record. They split the regular season. It's going to be a two-horse race between these two guys, these two teams coming up. And it looks like Tennessee, John Robinson's dropped the ball as of late. And I think it's probably because he's simply too aggressive, too caught up in the talent, and not enough caught up into fit. So we'll see how this plays out. Now, they technically, officially haven't cut Isaiah Wilson. He did tweet out yesterday that my days as a Tennessee Titan are gone. Robertson says he needs to get it together, but they haven't cut him. I don't know if there's something to do with the NFL where you got to cut him by a certain day. It's not that much dead money or whatnot. But he was supposed to have been one of the free agents that Tennessee let go, the guy that later went to Cleveland. They let him go because he tore his ACL. He came back from it, and they brought him back. Guy ends up going to Cleveland, free agent money, and doing pretty well. He didn't get re-injured or anything. Right tackle, I can't remember the guy's name off top, but this was supposed to be his replacement, this Georgia player. And this Georgia has brought in a lot of talent lately. Georgia's had one of the in some cases, in some years, they've had better classes than Alabama. But this particular guy was not one of those people. It's really disappointing. And he's been talked about as one of the biggest busts of all time because he didn't play that many. He simply didn't play that many snaps. So anyways, everybody, that is all I have. I know there's been a couple other stories. I didn't get to them. About Dak Prescott and Deshaun Watson. They're saying he likes Denver now. I haven't got into those. I'm not sure because Houston's still saying they're going to trade him. All the reporters are saying that they're going to trade Watson. I still think that they're sitting on their hands, Houston, and they're going to play the waiting game. They're going to try to wait him out, let him cool down, and see what goes about. But I think they also, in the back of their mind, may be thinking, okay, let's see if somebody wants to come up really high, really crazy, and see how that plays out. Oh, there's one more of the story. Jeff Bezos is rumored to maybe be interested in buying the Washington team. Now, the founder of Amazon, Jeff Bezos, already owns the Washington Post. Daniel Snyder is a terrible owner. The one thing I do like about Bezos is he's a guy that I can see, and this is what I want my owners to do. Write the checks, sit back, and hold your breath. Okay? Just sit back, write the checks, and have a date and a time at the end of those contracts on your mind, and then reevaluate. This guy, Bezos, I think it was from the Washington Post. Somebody else might have reported, and that was Barstool is what I read it off of. This guy started Amazon in 1994, and they didn't make a profit. He's told his staff, "We not make a profit for six or 7 years," and he was right. They didn't make a profit until 2003. Now the rest is history. The guy's the richest guy in the world. But if he buys the Washington football team, that would be a great thing, Washington fans. Getting rid of Snyder. This guy's got patience. I don't know what else. He might go nuts. I doubt it. He seems like he's a pretty patient guy. He's not a perfect person by no means. None of these guys are. I know he had that divorce with his wife and got with some news reporter or something. I don't know. But this interesting story, though, about him possibly buying the Washington football team, I think it'd be a good deal. I was hoping that he would buy one of the startup leagues like an AAL for an XFL, because I know he's got the deep enough. Jeff Bezos got the deep enough pockets to do it and not worry about making a profit for a while, you know. And of course, his ex-wife, yes, she's worth billions and billions and billions of dollars. She could do it herself. That is true. She came out pretty well. I mean, she's married a guy over 25 years. I'm sure it's hard to argue that she doesn't deserve half of what she's got. And, you know, he's also stepped down as a CEO of Amazon. So maybe that's all coming together and behind closed doors, behind the scenes, that he's trying to work out something with Snyder to buy this team. I think it'd be great. I think it'd be great for the league. I think the guy is a smart guy. I think he's better than Snyder. And we'll see how all that plays out, guys. Check me out on Northeast Streaming Sports. Type that in. You can find me there. If you want to find SportsSkope, type in the word sports, the word SKOPE. Put it together. You can find the show. I'm looking for more sponsors. And Northeast Streaming is a network that I share my show on. All kinds of great sports, not just Northeast. They got UK sports. They've got, I'm out of the South, but I talk to NFL. Building very fast by, got the Mac and Jack show. I'm on there. You can find them on Northeast Streaming Sports on YouTube. Just like you can find here, of course, Facebook, Twitch. They're also on Spotify and everybody through Anchor, Apple Podcasts as well. Check out that. And I really appreciate everybody's support. I'll be back on here Tuesday around 9 p.m. Central Time, and I hope we'll be talking about Tiger Woods getting out of the hospital. It's a really scary incident. I hate that for anybody, you know. So have a good Tuesday, everybody. I'll see you Thursday here on SportsSkope.